I tested out the Mavic 3 Classic in 3 different environments to see the latitude of the drone's camera. I tested it in desert, snow, and mountains. To start off, the snow shoot with the Hasselblad colors were incredible. The sun became very bright and it reflected the snow, so it was a bit overexposed and I didn't have an ND filter to test out with the drone, but I was able to stop down the exposure enough to get some pretty incredible images. I was also incredibly happy with the speed of the drone and the maneuverability of it. My last video that I just uploaded is actually a full video dedicated to this shoot. So if you want to check it out, I'll link it here and also in the caption below. So if you want to see more shots of that shoot, go ahead and check that video out. I just gotta throw this out here. Having over 40 minutes of battery life is a game changer, especially when you're shooting something like that where you only have one go and you need to have enough battery to make sure it lasts the whole shot. Man, it was a lot better than what my DJI Air 2S can handle. I was able to get the shots that I needed without worrying about the battery running out, and so that's super awesome. I've also included some of the raw footage in a file download below, so if you want to check those out and kind of color correct them yourselves, then go ahead and download that. The link will be in the caption below. So the second shoot we did for the Mavic 3 Classic was in the canyons of Utah. And we found a spot where I could fly the drone legally, but the area we chose wasn't a huge area to fly around in, which was good and bad. There wasn't a ton of movement with these shots, which made getting good shots a bit easier. The lighting was disappearing, but even with less light, the drone performed pretty well. My favorite part about doing this type of shoot was that I was able to bring the drone down a little bit lower, but point the camera up a lot more than I feel like my other drone did. Not sure if that's true, don't fact check me on that, but I pointed the camera up and I was able to get these sweet pivoting shots where the climber was climbing up the cliffside, and it looks really cool because you can see how far the cliffside goes up, and it just makes the mountain look a lot bigger. And so that was one of my favorite features of the drone. I'm not sure if it angles up more than my other drones, but that would be something interesting to check out. Overall, when I filmed in the normal filming mode, the color seemed a little bit oversaturated. So some shots I did D-Log and some shots I just did the normal filming mode because the D-Log required me to shoot at 400 ISO. And I'm not sure exactly why. If anyone knows, please comment below. But I didn't necessarily want the 400 ISO grain, so I opted for shooting a lot of it in just the normal filming mode. And you can tell where the light starts to go down and the sun starts to set because some of the shots start to look a little bit desaturated actually. Lastly, I made my way through the desert of Arizona and Utah and found some pretty amazing and interesting compositions along the way. For most of these, I filmed in D-Log, which was a little bit difficult to work with because I'm not a professional colorist of any kind, but I was able to get some usable images. There is notable grain due to the 400 native ISO of the D-Log footage, and grading the footage wasn't as easy as it typically is just because the lighting was a little bit all over the place. So it was a little bit difficult to get the look that I wanted. Not to mention editing and color grading the desert colors isn't my favorite, color palette to work with. I would prefer Iceland color palette any day, the dark blacks, the greens, the blues. I love that a little bit more than the reds and the warm tones. The clouds would come in and dull the colors, which was a little bit hard to work with in the edit, but I'm going to include some of the shots in that free download below. So if you take one of the shots and do a color grade to it and think it's pretty good, send it over to me via Instagram and I'd love to feature it in some way. For the shots that I did get in better lighting, they actually turned out really great. I found that working with harsh sunlight was actually better for the drone, just because I feel like it created a lot more depth than the clouds. And coming from the portrait world, sometimes I prefer working with clouds just because it creates a balanced lighting situation over the model, so that's why I prefer that. But for drone footage and photos, I've learned that the harsh sunlight is actually pretty cool. And the Mavic 3 Classic did a great job at controlling the dynamic range between the hotspots and the shadows. So the range was still pretty good, but not obviously as good as a cinema drone. Overall, an incredible drone to use, and only an extra 500 bucks from the DJI Air 2S to get a better image, longer lasting battery, and even an RC controller that I had a blast using. The controller is awesome, although it's basically an Android tablet, which kind of brought me back to those Skrillex playing on my Android tablet back in middle school days. I think I still prefer the controller over my phone though. I hate pulling out my phone, I hate plugging it in. But if I were to invest in a controller, I would definitely get the RC Pro, not just the RC controller. I made a video earlier this year about how the DJI Air 2S was the best drone to get this year. Although the DJI Air 2S is a bang for its buck, I do believe the Mavic 3 Classic has better image quality if you're willing to spend a few extra $100, and the battery life makes it totally worth it. Now this is a drone that I'm currently eyeing at upgrading this year or next. If you want to upgrade, I will put an affiliate link below and you can check that out. If you don't want to buy it but want to rent it, you can check out lensrentals.com. I also have my affiliate link for that below in the caption. Anyway, overall, I just want to say the Mavic 3 Classic is a dream to use. If you haven't tried it, I highly recommend trying it out. Anyway, thanks for watching. Please like this video, subscribe for more. I appreciate you guys watching. See ya.